Good morning, Starshines. My name is DH, my pronouns are they, them, and I play cozy games. And I knit and crochet and do a bit of bullet journaling, and some other stuff too. Every Monday evening on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/thecozydh, is our weekly crafty chat. Bring your project, bring something to stay hydrated with, but most importantly, just bring yourself. Each week, I'll post highlights from the stream, any tips I give, or just show off what I'm working on. To see more and join the conversation, follow me on Twitch to know when Crafty Chat goes live, and then join us. I can't wait to see ya. Alright, well, welcome everyone to Monday Night Crafty Chat. I hope you have something to work on, project going on, something to work on, something to drink, or, just hang out and chill. We're going to be here for a few hours. We're going to do some crafting. We're going to listen to some music, chat. It's going to be good. So I've got some cross stitch going on. I am not entirely sure if I'm going to be cross stitching throughout the stream. It kind of depends on how well I can focus on it. I've never done it before. So we're going to see. Oh, that sounds good. I find that very relaxing, just doing the winding, getting stuff set up. And as you can see, I bobbinate all my threads as well. Each of these is labeled with the DMC number. But for this one, it's not a bot pattern. I'm making a little needle book for Toot. And then, so I just made up the pattern on my own. Yeah, the wound bobbins on the box of cross stitch supplies is just so incredibly satisfying, let me tell you. I have mine kind of set up sideways on my desk, and I caught sight of it from across the room, and it sparked joy. All those little colorful bobbins, so neatly arranged. So this is going to be a needle book, which is just it's a little book. You put your needles in it. It does what it says on the tin. So I've got to stitch the covers, and then I'll sew it together with some felt, and then it'll be done. So it's actually, although this is the size of the piece, I'm only going to be stitching here. So it's actually not a lot of cross stitching. It's more sewing than anything. I am stitching with pink on pink, but I think there's enough contrast that you can see it. I'll show you guys in a second. Yes, as always, I am doing a pastel rainbow, so starting with pink. I think that's a good enough contrast. A needle book. So it's a book. I can actually show you one that I've already made. Would you guys like to see one that I've already made? So this is just a small needle book, and it's for someone, so they'll never lose their needles. So this is a needle book. As you can see, this one I just did a simple, like kind of lace closure. So it's just this little book. You open it up. It's got felt pages. And then you can use the felt pages to stick your needles through or put needle minders on. So you can see this is how the needles work. So yeah, you can see the size difference though between the two. I asked Toot if she wanted one, and she said, oh, I'd lose it. So I'm like, okay, I'll make it slightly larger. And then I just sewed in a strap. It just goes wounding around here. So yeah, so that's a needle book. They're just super tiny. A way to keep your needles, and you can even put your magnetic needle minders in there as well. So there's one that I've made. Here's one I made earlier. Just pull that out of the oven. I think I need those glasses that Cross Stitch Man has. I also enjoy that if you go to TikTok and Google Cross Stitch Man, it's the same guy who shows up. Go to TikTok and Google. Go to TikTok and search. So I'm going to set this aside for the moment. One thing I was kind of thinking of doing tonight is I'm working on a Biscornu, which is a style of pincushion. And I finished all the stitching for it. I just have to sew it together. So I'm going to see if that might be a little bit easier for me. So here's my finished stitching for the Biscornu. So I'm going to flatten it out a little bit. So you stitch a square. They can range in size. If you go too small, you're going to have a really, really small pincushion. If you go too big, you're going to have a really, really big pincushion. So I like mine about this size, about 3 to 4 inches along a side. So this is from the Stardew Valley cross stitch book. So I did this one, and then usually they have the same design on both sides, or one side will be completely blank, but I didn't want to redo this. So I just did a few little Junimos for the other side. Yeah, it's just directly from the book. Stardew Valley cross stitch. So to assemble a Biscornu is what makes it a little bit interesting or special. So what you do is around your design, you backstitch a line completely around. So that's just a single back stitch in a square. Make sure every side is equal and make sure that the two squares match up. So these are the exact same size stitch-wise count. And then I like to fold mine along the back stitch line. I find it makes it a little bit easier when it comes to sewing. So I do that, and then I do that, because what you're going to do is you're actually going to sew the back stitches together. You don't go through the Ada, you go through the floss of the back stitch. So it can be really tedious because you're working in really small stitches like this. I like to use a sharp sewing needle. I mean, you can't see this, but it's pointy. It's pointy as heck. It's not a dull embroidery needle, or tapestry needle, I should say. So what I need is a length of floss in my joining color, which is going to be this light tan color. And you just use two strands of floss, as you would for the cross stitching itself. I've already lost my needle. Okay. So we're gonna sew these together. So you put the wrong sides together. We're going to sew them together, but we're not going to sew them together as a square. We're not making a pocket. We're going to find the exact middle point on one of the sides. So I know that this is 46 stitches across. So I need to find the spot that's 23 stitches. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. That's this stitch here. Then we're going to take our other one and we're going to attach it like this. So I don't know if you can see that, but the point of this one is going to be attached to the center of one side, and we're going to start sewing these together like this. And then we're just going to continue sewing it together all the way around, and as we sew, it's going to create a 3-dimensional 8-pointed shape. So everyone kind of has their own technique for this. I like to leave a long thread and then I can weave it in later. But as you can see, I just have the 2 rows of back stitch. You have the white one here and the pink one here. And then you're just going to like mattress stitch them together. So We're going to go this way first through both stitches. This is a terrible, terrible view. Going to go that way, and then we're going to go this way, and then this way. And then Bella's going to come. Bella's going to join us. You can see I've started doing a mattress stitch there to join the two sides together. And then you just continue sewing it around, continuing in the same direction until you've sewn all four sides together. So that's how you assemble a Biscornu, and then you, just before you finish sewing it up, you stuff it. I don't have one that I made earlier to show you guys, but if I did, I would love to show you one. I just don't happen to have one. I have one somewhere. I just don't know where it is. So yeah. But again, I usually do this literal inches from my nose, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do much of it on stream today. Also, I have to be super focusy on it, and that just, I can't chat with you guys. So. Yeah. Okay. So, but I hope you can start to get a picture of what it'll look like when it's sewn together. Just a nice flat seam there. And as you continue, it'll do like a puffy 8-cornered star type shape, which I absolutely love. So I'll show you guys this next week when I've got it finished and sewn together and all of that good stuff. Okay. So that's what I've been working on for cross stitch. I've got the needlebook that I just finished, this little guy. And then this needlebook that I'm just starting for Toot, and then the Biscornu, which the Junimo side, this one I actually did entirely yesterday, so it was a super quick little stitch. Really fun too. Show the wheel? I will show the wheel. I also, for our friends getting started with cross stitch, I just wanted to show off. This is the back of my square. It's not super neat. It looks really pretty from this side. It doesn't look really pretty from this side. It's okay if your backs are not super neat. I know some people really enjoy having a neat back. It's not required. So there, that's my PSA for the day. Show you all the back of my work. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit more show and tell with something that Toot actually made. All right, so this one was made by Toot. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love this pattern. I love what she did with it. She did such a good job. It's so neat and pretty. I just mounted it on a piece of cardboard with a felt backing and a little string to hang it. But yeah, Toot did all the stitching. I love it. It's so good. It's the wheel of the year. So you start with Yule, and then you move into Imbolc, Ostara, Beltane, Litha, Mabon, Lunasa, Samhain, and we start the wheel out over. Litha is actually coming up this month. I think it's the 24th this year. So we're at this part of the wheel now, down in the little bee. So yeah, this is, it's so pretty. So pretty. I'm just gonna put this away very carefully. All right, so while we're chatting, I'm going to be working on my Afghan. I've been working on this for the last couple of streams. So you guys have seen it in the form of individual squares, but I've started joining said squares. trying to figure out how to show this off. It's already heckin' large, and I'm only on the 5th row. But yeah, so this is what it's looking like so far. I'm using a continuous join as you go method. So the black thread, actually, I don't break it and then sew it and then weave in the ends. I'm crocheting all of the squares together as I create this black border. So it's quite easy, quite meditative. The only difficult part happens when I have to add a new row of squares, because you add an entire row at one time. Like, I can kind of show you here. So as I did this row of black granny clusters, I attached this row in order, and because I wanted to make sure the colors all match, I've got them like all in stacks of which colors go next to which, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking. I did organize the stacks ahead of time. So this is the next stack that goes in, and this is the order that it goes in. They are connected by a little stitch marker, so this whole little package stays together. So what I'm doing now is I am crocheting a granny cluster, a 3DC cluster, and then attaching it to the granny cluster on the other side of the square I just worked with a slip stitch, and then continuing on that way, so each cluster is joined to the other squares by a series of slip stitches, and it's actually quite secure, and it looks really good. I do really enjoy cross stitch though, and I described it to our friend Moon because Toot learned to cross stitch many years ago as a child. Many years ago. Did I say enough manys? But recently got back into it because we discovered, or she discovered, a stash of just gorgeous patterns on Etsy that really kind of fit our current vibe and that kind of thing. And got back into it, and then got me back into it, and then got a couple friends back into it. So we are all a cross stitch clan now. I started that story for a reason, but I've forgotten what it is. Why did I start that story? Right. When we were trying to convince a friend of ours to start cross stitching, I asked her, because I know she's neurodivergent like we are, do you enjoy mining in a straight line in Minecraft? Wasn't gonna out anybody. Do you enjoy mining in a straight line in Minecraft? And she said, well, I love mining in Minecraft. It's because it triggers the same happy dopamine spot in your brain as mining in a straight line in Minecraft. It's very satisfying in the exact same way. Like, you're going in a straight line. It's so nice and neat. So yeah, if someone says, well, I don't know if I'd like cross stitch, do you like mining in a straight line? Yes? You'll like cross stitch. Right? It scratches the same itch, that same like linear seeing progress, but in a same kind of way. Yeah. Okay, so I finished that row of grannies. So we now have to connect the next row of grannies. And looking at this collection of granny squares, I don't think this is the next row, because it starts with a flower and it should start with a solid. So something has gone horribly wrong. it's not this one either. Luckily, I took a picture. So, 1 second while I refer to my picture. Oh, okay. So this was the right one. I just had it flipped over. We are connecting our next batch of squares, which is this stack here. So each row is 9 squares across, and there's going to be 13 rows. I've done 5 so far. But really, I've only been working on joining them for a couple of days, so it isn't too bad. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to arrange this on my lap. Kind of why I like doing modular blankets is until they get to the joining stage, they're never too bulky for you to deal with. Okay. So you can see that on this granny square, I didn't complete corner, like I didn't turn and start going down. I just did the 1 cluster of 3 DCs. So I'm gonna yarn over and then go into this granny square that I am joining on top of it. Alright, so then this DC cluster, I don't know how well you can see that because it's black. This DC cluster will line up with this DC cluster, and then I'll do a slip stitch into the space between them here to join them. All right, so I think I have managed to pull up a picture of the Afghan as it currently stands. This was just before this evening's additions, so you can see how it's coming together with the borders. Okay, so this is what it's looking like as I'm putting it together. And then if I switch over here, this is what all the squares look like laid out. So you can see that I was kind of like trying to make sure that they weren't clumping together like all kinds of greens together and all kinds of pinks together. So that's all of them laid out. So this is what I've been referring to when I start a new row to make sure I'm on the right row. So we started up here. We are currently here on this row here that I'm joining. So yeah, so this is what I'm working with. It looks so good when it's all laid out. I'm so pleased. Like, I can't wait to get it all finished. But then, of course, I immediately got distracted by cross stitch. So this is Pow. She is currently getting some of her favorite snacks, which are a strawberry and some pineapple. Fruit is a big part of her diet. That's not true of all species of tortoise, but for her species, it's definitely true. They live in the jungles of South America, in the rainforests, and they'll eat kind of whatever's fallen to the ground. So fruit takes up a large part of that. And you can see she's going after that pineapple. She's going ham. Yeah, she's very pretty. Like, she one of these streams I have to give her a bath before stream because she's a mud monster. Like, she's so dirty. So her coloring is actually quite vibrant and very dark browns and reds and golds, but at the moment it's covered in a fine layer of mud. So her substrate, you can see it's mostly dirt, so just plain dirt, nothing in it, and a mixture of forest floor, which is the substrate that a lot of people use for snakes and ball pythons and that kind of thing. But it's mostly just straight dirt. And it's, yeah, she is loving that pineapple. Pow is a complete destructive force of nature. You can see that there are no plants in her enclosure because she destroys them all. whatever furniture she has is mostly movable because she will knock it over and drag it around. I don't leave her food dish in her enclosure when we're doing the stream because she will drag it all over the place, knock it over. She has actually climbed up on top of her hide and tried to take out the camera a couple of times. There she goes, trying to get that last little bit of pineapple. She's such a cutie. So I hope everyone else is taking this time to have a little snack, or have your dinner if you're starved. Grab something lovely to drink. I have a London Fog latte at the moment. And I usually have a cup of tea. So How in her old enclosure has had a crocodile skull on top of her frock hide just as decoration. But she would climb to the top of the hide, stand on the skull. I am slightly worried about running out of this black yarn. I've got 2 more balls of it, but I've already gone through almost 2 balls. So we might be playing a little bit of yarn chicken. Luckily it's black, so I should be able to find a dupe for it pretty easily. So the yarn is from Hobby, and it's their Amigo, which is a 100% acrylic DK weight yarn that is recommended for stuff like this, color work. It comes in over 100 different colors. It's pretty affordable, especially if you can get it on sale. And they do like bulk ordering. So if you order more than X amount, you get X percentage off, that kind of thing, which can seriously add up. Like it can be more than 50% off, depending on how many skeins you order. And we've ordered a lot because this entire thing was done with scraps. Like I didn't order any yarn for this. I didn't even order the black. I just had 6 balls of black yarn, or 5 balls of black yarn just hanging out in my stash. So I'm thinking a good dupe for it, because I don't know if we'll be able to order more from Hobby themselves, will be the Joy DK from Michaels, the Loops and Threads Joy DK. So if worst comes to worst, I think I'm going to try a ball of that. At least it's going to be similar in fiber content and in weight. If not, this will get put on hold until I can get my hands on some more Amigo. It is going really quick. Despite it being a DK yarn, I'm using a 5mm hook. Just gave me the best kind of drape and gauge, that kind of thing. I used to be a huge scaredy cat, but then I married Toot and nothing scares me anymore. That's it for the video. If you like the content, please like the video. Subscribe for more cozy gaming and crafting highlights. If you want to see more, join the community on twitch.tv/thecozydh or check out our Discord. Thanks for watching, and keep twinkling below, Starshine.